Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend that he can't move in with me? I, 30F, have been dating my boyfriend, 32M, for about 5 months now. I own my home as I purchased it this February and it is my second home. I made a good amount on my first home and put most of that money towards this house. I have a good career making about $80K and my mortgage is $1,500. My boyfriend rents a room from his friend who owns a townhouse. His friend travels a lot for work and is hardly ever home. Maybe 1 week out of the month or so. My boyfriend pays $800 a month, which includes utilities. It's a nice place and my boyfriend makes good money as well, probably around 60–70K. So recently, his friend was thinking about selling his townhouse and just moving in with his girlfriend. He told my boyfriend this, who then came over one night and sort of sprung all of it on me and told me that he should move in with me. I was really shocked as we have only been dating for 5 months and I really don't think that is long enough time for me to think about letting him move in. I tried talking about it with him and told him I needed some time to think it over. He was visibly annoyed, but let it go. So yesterday, I got a text from him stating that his friend plans to list his townhouse in October and my boyfriend needs to be out by the end of October. My boyfriend doesn't have a lease or anything, but he texted me and said he needs to move in with me short term as that's not enough time to find an apartment. I texted him back and said we could talk that night. When he came over last night, he was ranting, begging me to let him move in. About how he didn't make enough money to get an apartment, and that it would just be less stressful for him to move in with me. That if he could help pay half then it would be good for me too, etc., etc. I shut down that idea and told him we have not been together long enough for me to want to take that step. He got upset and called me heartless, and then left. He texted me today and apologized, but still asked that I think about it a few more days. I told my friend and coworker today about everything, and he said that I'm an asshole for not letting him move in. I was really shocked, but my coworker kept going, saying that in this economy people can't afford to live by themselves and that 5 months is long enough to move in together. I didn't say anything, but just remained quiet. So am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend that he can't move in with me? And #X200B. Update. Well, today has been a stressful day, but I appreciate all the comments. I'm still reading through them all, but I wanted to give an update. First, my coworker surprised me this morning, as I came in, and he had coffee and a sandwich sitting on my desk. He was waiting for me and said he was an idiot and that he was sorry. I've been at my job for over a year now, and this is the first time we've had a disagreement about something. He said he went home and told his girlfriend that he knew he upset me. His girlfriend chastised him and told him he was in the wrong. They talked about it, and she told him that my boyfriend is an adult and that he needs to act like it. We talked this morning a little, but work got busy today, so we didn't talk much the rest of the day. As for my boyfriend, he texted me this morning and asked if he could call me at lunch. I said that was fine, and then I stepped out at lunch to take his call. I started talking first and told him that he cannot move in with me. I explained that we are not at that stage yet where I feel comfortable having him move in. I told him I would help him look for an apartment, help him pack and move, and help with anything else he needed, but I was firm on it. He was quiet for a while, and then he told me that he can't afford an apartment on his salary. This didn't make sense to me. As far as I knew, my boyfriend didn't have any outrageous debt and he has a good salary. He's an account manager, and he told me a while back that he makes less than $75K. He also drives an older car, so no car payment, and he got a scholarship to play baseball in college. So I asked him how he couldn't afford an apartment. He spent about 5 minutes talking about how he has other bills to pay and that eating out daily was getting expensive. My boyfriend does not cook. His job has a cafeteria, so he eats breakfast and lunch there and orders food every night for dinner. This was my only concern in the 5 months we have been dating. He talked for a little bit more, and every time I asked him a question about it, the responses were vague. I even asked him if he has a lot of credit card debt or something, but things were just not adding up. Finally, though, he told me that he lied. He only received a partial scholarship to play baseball, and he has an embarrassing amount of student loans. My boyfriend went to an expensive private college, so I can only guess how much that cost. I was pretty shocked, but things started to click into place. He talked a little more about how he really can't afford a higher rent payment than what he is paying now. I did ask how much and if he was paying on them now, but he said sort of. He maxed out the total for federal loans, but he also has a lot of private loans. He's paying on the private ones currently, but not the federal ones. He said everything kind of came crashing down on him at once as the payment pause ends in October, and his friend wants him out of the townhouse. I told him it was a lot to take in, but that it still wouldn't change my mind about him moving in. He said he understood, but he wanted me to come over for dinner tonight and talk more about everything in our relationship. He said he didn't want to lose me over this, but he did tell me he was hurt that I wasn't ready to take the next step. I told him we will talk later and hung up. Now, I have a few hours before our dinner, but I am on the fence on breaking up with him. I feel like I got some of the information, but not everything. I thought about it all afternoon and realized that I need to hear him out, but also see how he plans to move forward. He is not moving in with him. Part of the reason I felt so strongly against it is because I felt like he only wanted to move in because it would save him money, and not because he cared for our relationship. I make a comfortable salary and can pay my bills. I have student loans, but a reasonable amount, and I live within my means. I have no car loans or credit card debt. I worked hard for what I have, and I want a partner who wants to work towards a future together, and not one where they rely solely on me to pay for them without putting in the same amount of effort. I cannot tell if my boyfriend wants to make this relationship work because he cares about us, or if he just sees an easy option for his financial problems. I will hear him out tonight and make my decision then. I have not experienced any other red flags or behavior from him, but I am much more cautious now and will listen to what and how he speaks tonight. Not the asshole. Is he 32 or 12? He's throwing a tantrum. Let him, but decide how you feel about that. Not the asshole. It's not your responsibility to give him a place to live. He's in his 30s throwing a tantrum. He can fuck off. If you're not comfortable with it, you don't have to. Not the asshole. His pressuring you when you're obviously reluctant is very concerning behavior. It's high stakes for you to let someone move in. A bad decision could have a huge impact on your mental health, peace of mind, financial and even physical health. Once he gets in, it will probably be quite difficult to get him out. His being so overbearing here makes me suspect that he wants to take advantage of you. You have absolutely no responsibility to house a grown man, especially one you barely know. Not the asshole. Your boyfriend is thirsty and opportunistic. If you're not ready to live with him, you're not ready to live with him. Not the asshole. It's been only 5 months and he may not move out like he says he will. You are smart to say no. Am I the asshole for fighting my husband's best friend's maid of honor? I am a 29, F, and my husband is 27, M, and we have a very healthy and happy marriage. There is a girl, we will call her Amanda, 23, F, who has had feelings for my husband since high school. He has repeatedly told her that he was not interested in being in a relationship with her for years. In 2020, 1 year before we met, they had sex one time and never did anything after that. Fast forward a couple years later, his best friend, the bride, from high school is getting married and Amanda is the maid of honor and my husband is a groomsman. I was a little uncomfortable since I knew the past between Amanda and my husband, but I trust my husband to not do anything, so I sucked it up and decided to be civil for the wedding events. 2 months before the wedding, Amanda decided to message my husband twice asking him if she could be his sneaky link and that I did not need to find out. Thankfully, on both occasions, my husband told her that he will not betray my trust like that and he will never ever consider cheating on me, and to never message him again. Amanda decided to insult my husband saying that, he ain't shit, and all kind of other derogatory things. My husband and I decided to talk to his best friend and her fiancé about the situation, and how uncomfortable it made us that she tried to get my husband to cheat on me. We told her that I will not be going to the bachelorette party to avoid any drama, but I will still attend the wedding and I will be civil so the bride and groom can still enjoy their day. A few days later, the maid of honor texted both me and my husband cussing us out for talking to the bride and her fiancé about what she did, and that we were selfish for trying to ruin the wedding events and wedding itself. She also commented that it doesn't matter what she does because she was the best friend of the bride. At that point, I couldn't contain my anger towards her anymore and I let her have a piece of my mind. The conversation ended in me telling her, "How sad of a person do you have to be to try and have sex with people who are already in a relationship? Like, are you really having that hard of a time to get your own man? But I guess no one wants to be in a relationship with the town whore." After the fight between me and the maid of honor, his best friend, the bride, messaged my husband about the drama that was going on. They had a big blow-up fight because the bride was unwilling to just talk to her maid of honor to stop trying to talk to my husband. The end result was that my husband stepped down as a groomsman and cut off all communication with the entire friend group. I feel so bad that my husband felt like he had to walk away from his entire friend group. So am I the asshole for fighting with the maid of honor, 1 to 2 months away from the wedding? Should I have just sucked up my pride and continued to be civil? Edit. A lot of people are commenting on Amanda's age. My husband and I are completely guessing on her age. When they had sex, she was around 20-21 of a year old. I have no idea where people are getting 16 years old, as they had sex in 2020, which is only 3 years ago. Not the asshole. Amanda is completely delusional. I'm sorry your husband lost this friend group, but I find it hard to believe that none of them are really on his side. And if they aren't, good riddance. Maybe ask the bride to be how she'd feel in your shoes. This woman had the audacity to proposition your husband and you were still willing to let him be in the wedding. You're a saint and your husband sound pretty great too. You should do a spa day on their wedding day with the money you'll save. Not the asshole. Your husband clearly didn't lose anything of value. Mo was trying to get your husband to cheat. Your husband was based and refused to budge and blocked her, and the bride, groom sided with the woman trying to destroy your marriage. Says a lot about them. I don't see why the rest of his friend group should be alienated. Bride better watch her back. Your hubby is not available. She will probably try for the groom next. I don't understand people who defend garbage people like her. Best friend or not, trash like her cannot be trusted. Not the asshole. You kept it civil longer than most would have. Your husband's best friend should have gone nuclear on her Mo when she found out what she had done. She did nothing. You are both probably better off without this friend group. He will still grieve the loss of them and you have to let him have that. Not the asshole. Just have popcorn ready when you find out that the future bride and husband's marriage turns into a shit show. The bride is condoning the attempted cheating and speaks very loudly about her and the friend group's thought process. You and your husband are better off without them so-called friends. Am I the asshole? She's way too extreme about people liking her old name? My sister and I were both given nature names by our parents. My sister used to be Lark and I'm Indigo, named after the plant. Our mom changed her name to a nature name when she was 19. For our parents, our names needed to be easy to say and spell, but they wanted uncommon names. My sister was never super fond of her name. But around the age of 16 she got really annoyed by her name and told our parents she wanted to change it. They offered her support and asked if she wanted to change it then or wait. She decided to change her name then but couldn't decide what she wanted to be, so she waited. She ended up changing her name at 20 to a more common and classic, timeless name. Think Emily or Elizabeth. At the time she changed her name, my sister said we should both change our names and send a message to our parents that they fucked up. I told her I loved my name so wouldn't be changing it. She asked me if I didn't want an ordinary name and I said no. Fast forward to today and my sister met up with an old friend of hers from school. This friend was not around when my sister changed her name. So when they first met up she was still calling her Lark. My sister corrected her and the friend accepted it. My sister came to my house the very next day and said that her friend had acted so surprised to hear she changed her name. She asked the friend why and the friend said she always thought we had the coolest names and she was always so jealous and it surprised her that she didn't like the name. While my sister was at my house she got so angry about what her friend had said. She even took me aback with the venom she spoke with. She was like, how could anyone prefer Lark to current name? And why would anyone be jealous of a dumb name like it? She told me she despises when people compliment the name or when she has to correct people who don't know her name today. This isn't the first time my sister got annoyed with people who were shocked that she changed her name, and it's not the first time she has admitted wanting to yell in the face of someone who complimented her old name. This time was the most angry she got though. But it has been a thing for 5 years now. My sister kept ranting away and then she started saying our parents were shitty parents who only thought of themselves and not us. I told her she needed to calm down because she didn't like her name and they supported her in changing it. But I love my name and our parents made no mistake in naming me. She told me I probably loved her old name too and also don't understand her changing it, and she was starting to say fuck me and everything when I told her that she was too extreme about the thought that some people will like her old name. I also pointed out that she asked the friend why she was surprised and all the friend was as honest. I told her she has the name she chose now, but it's not healthy to be so irrationally angry over this. My sister didn't take it well and I feel like I should have seen this coming. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, but your sister seems pretty traumatized about her old name. Maybe sit down with her in order to understand. Maybe she was picked out at school for it or something. She needs help saying goodbye for good to the past, and the ex name. Please be patient with her. I know a lot of people with unusual names and sometimes it's just really hard during childhood and teenage years. To be fair, Indigo is a dope-ass name. Lark on the other hand, not so much. Not the asshole. She needs therapy. Not the asshole, maybe she second-guesses her decision? Only wants to hear affirmation. You definitely won with Indigo, that's a nice name. Lark is ridiculous. If my parents called me that I'd be salty too. Am I the asshole for telling my wife that I won't be replacing my car? I, M48, grew up in a low-income family. My parents worked very hard to provide for me and my siblings, and while we were always well fed and clothed, we definitely felt our economic situation growing up. Because of this, I feel that I am financially wise and I try to live a bit frugally when possible, despite making a very good income. For the past year, I have come under increasing pressure from my wife, F46, and our 3 kids, F19, M15, F13, to replace my old car. For reference, I drive a 2008 Hyundai Sonata with almost 200,000 miles. While cosmetically the car has a few scratches and dings, mechanically it is essentially in perfect condition and costs very little to operate. My wife and kids, however, view the car as a source of family shame. They continually point out how it looks completely out of place in our area and that, considering my income, I should be driving something far nicer. I've always maintained with my children that they shouldn't place too much emphasis on material things and that people should be investing in more important aspects of life, but I feel that these messages are partially ignored. Last week, my eldest daughter borrowed the car to hang out with her friends and mentioned to me how they joked about how outdated her dad's car is. I told her that she shouldn't worry too much about what other people think and that we should be grateful that the car works. However, she told me that this was irrelevant in our particular context since all her friends arrived in much nicer cars and since we live in a nice area. Last night, my wife and I planned on attending a social event with some of our friends and co-workers. As I was grabbing my keys, my wife stopped me and told me that we would be taking her car since mine had become too embarrassing. During the drive, she told me I was being unreasonable for holding on to my car for so long and that I needed to get rid of it. She mentioned that I should consider that our youngest daughter just started high school and that she might feel uncomfortable getting dropped off and picked up in the car in front of her peers. My wife then went on to say how people within our own social circle found it odd for me to drive such a car and brought up how my friends and coworkers have made jokes about the car in the past. I told her that I wasn't going to replace my car since it worked fine and getting a new one would be an unnecessary expense. I mentioned how it was an important lesson for our kids to learn. But she then accused me of being stubborn and stingy. Am I the asshole? Context. For those wondering, I'm an internist while my wife is a mechanical engineer. Update: I like to thank everyone who responded to this post. I really appreciate the support. I plan on speaking with my family about the car situation later today and will hopefully be able to convince them of my viewpoint. For those wondering, my wife had a much wealthier background than myself, which I guess shaped her own perspective. Not the asshole. You are being responsible by keeping a perfectly usable vehicle that you are happy with. However, your wife's materialistic, superficial attitude has rubbed off on your children. They'd be better off with your value system instead of hers. She's not doing them any favors in the long run. Tell your wife she's old with dents and scratches too, but you're not trading her in because of what other people say. That'll shut her up. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If your wife and daughter want you to have a new car, are they going to pay for it and increase the insurance premiums? If the answer is no, then they can all be quiet. If daughter hates the car so much she can walk or take a bus. Not the asshole. Your wife and children seem very shallow in this situation. I agree with you, it's a good lesson for your kids and one apparently your wife didn't get either. Unfortunately, we now live in a world of people caring more about how they are perceived based on their material things, rather than how they actually are. Tell them if they want a new car, they are free to buy it themselves. Never back down. Never what? You perfectly damn well know you're not the asshole. How did they get you doubting yourself so much? Must be some hardcore conditioning. Hope the kids grow up to be like their dad.